What if I told you that one of the most anticipated APS-C cameras of 2025 just vanished from Canon's release calendar? The Canon EOS R7 Mark II was supposed to be here by now, sitting in your hands, ready to redefine what crop sensor cameras could do. But instead, it's been pushed back to 2026, and the reasons why might change the way you think about Canon's entire strategy forever. If you want to stay ahead of the latest leaks and rumors in the camera world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you do not miss out when these announcements drop. So let's talk about what just happened. The Canon R7 Mark II, a camera that wildlife photographers, sports shooters, and budget-conscious creators have been begging for, has been delayed. Not by a few weeks, not by a couple of months. We're talking about a full year or more, and Canon hasn't even officially announced it yet. That silence alone should tell you something. Because when a company goes this quiet about a product everyone's waiting for, it's usually not good news. But here's where it gets interesting. The original Canon EOS R7 launched with serious firepower, a 32.5 megapixel APS-C sensor, dual-pixel CMOS autofocus. The second generation with advanced subject detection for people, animals, and vehicles burst shooting up to 30 frames per second in electronic shutter mode and 15 frames per second with the mechanical shutter. It could shoot 4K video at 60 frames per second, oversampled for incredible detail, and 1080p at 120 frames per second for buttery slow motion. Add in 5-axis in-body image stabilization with up to 7 stops of correction, a weather-sealed magnesium alloy body weighing just 612 grams, and you had a camera that punched way above its weight class. So why would Canon delay the successor to such a beloved camera? That's the question everyone's asking, and the answer might not be what you expect. Let's start with the most obvious theory. Production issues. We've all heard about supply chain nightmares over the past few years. Semiconductors, sensors, rare materials, everything that goes into making a modern camera has been harder to source. But here's the thing. Canon just released the R5 Mark II and the R1 flagship without major delays. So if they can pull off full-frame launches on time, why can't they do the same for an APS-C body? Unless, of course, the delay has nothing to do with production at all. Unless Canon is deliberately holding back the R7 Mark II for reasons that go much deeper than supply chain problems. And that brings us to the first real clue. Canon's APS-C lineup has always been the gateway drug. It's where beginners start, where enthusiasts stay when they don't want to drop thousands on full-frame glass, and where professionals go when they need extra reach for wildlife or sports. But something shifted in the last 2 years. Full-frame cameras got cheaper. Look at the Canon R8, a full-frame body that you can pick up for under $1,500 after discounts. Or the R6 Mark II, which has dropped in price significantly since launch. Suddenly, the gap between APS-C and full-frame isn't a massive financial leap anymore. And that changes everything, because if you're Canon, and you're watching customers choose between a new APS-C camera and an affordable full-frame model, which one do you want them to buy? The answer is obvious. Full-frame has higher margins, more expensive lenses, and keeps customers locked into your ecosystem for longer. So maybe, just maybe, Canon isn't in a hurry to give you a better APS-C option. Maybe they want you to upgrade, but that's not the only reason Canon's holding back. Here's where the magic happens. Canon's competitors have gone suspiciously quiet too. Think about it. Where's the Nikon Z50 Mark II? Where's Sony's answer to the R7? The APS-C mirrorless market, which was supposed to explode with innovation, has basically stalled. And when an entire segment of the market freezes like this, it's not a coincidence, it's a signal. Camera manufacturers are watching each other, waiting to see who blinks first, and right now, no one's blinking. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. APS-C cameras don't make as much money as full-frame. They attract budget-conscious buyers who often stick with kit lenses or buy third-party glass. They appeal to enthusiasts who might never upgrade. And in a shrinking camera market where smartphone photography eats more market share every year, companies like Canon have to prioritize products that maximize profit. So if Nikon and Sony aren't rushing to release flagship APS-C bodies, why should Canon? The absence of competition gives Canon the luxury of time, and they're using it. But there's another layer to this story. Let's talk about the marketing strategy. Canon knows exactly what they're doing. By delaying the R7 Mark II, they're creating scarcity. They're building anticipation. And most importantly, they're nudging their customer base toward full frame. Think about it from their perspective. If you're a Canon R7 owner right now, or someone thinking about buying into the R system, what are your options? You could wait another year or more for the R7 Mark II. Or you could look at the R6 Mark II, which is now more affordable than ever. Or the R8, which gives you full-frame performance in a compact body. Canon doesn't need to force you to upgrade. They just need to make the full-frame option look like the smarter choice. And by delaying the APS-C update, that's exactly what they're doing. It's not a bug in their strategy, it's a feature. But here's where things get even more calculated. Canon's internal roadmap tells us something crucial. The R5 Mark II and the R1 were the priority launches for 2024 and early 2025. Those cameras target professionals, high-end enthusiasts, and creators who need cutting-edge tech. They're halo products that generate buzz, drive sales, and reinforce Canon's position as an industry leader. Now, if Canon had released the R7 Mark II at the same time, it would have split attention. It would have confused the messaging. And worse, it might have cannibalized sales. Why spend $3,000 on an R6 Mark II when you could get 80% of the performance in an R7 Mark II for half the price? Canon can't afford that kind of internal competition. So they're spacing out their releases, controlling the narrative, and making sure each camera gets its moment in the spotlight. And that means the R7 Mark II had to wait. But there's one more piece of this puzzle. Sensor technology is evolving fast. Really fast. The original R7 launched with a 32.5 megapixel sensor that was already impressive. But sensor tech doesn't stand still. By 2026, Canon could have access to newer sensor designs with better dynamic range, improved low-light performance, faster readout speeds, and more efficient power consumption. If Canon releases the R7 Mark II now with incremental upgrades, it risks looking outdated by the time the next generation of APS-C sensors hits the market. But if they wait, if they take their time and engineer something truly special, the R7 Mark II could leapfrog the competition. It could be the APS-C camera that redefines what crop sensors are capable of. And that would be worth the wait. At least, that's what Canon is betting on. But is it the right bet? Here's what this delay really means for you, the viewer, the photographer, the creator waiting for the next big thing. Canon is playing a long game. They're not rushing to satisfy demand because they don't have to. The camera market has changed. It's no longer about releasing new models every year. It's about strategic positioning, maximizing profit margins, and gently guiding customers toward higher-tier products. The R7 Mark II will come eventually. But when it does, it'll arrive in a market that Canon has carefully shaped. A market where full frame is more accessible, where APS-C is positioned as the enthusiast choice rather than the budget option, and where the R7 Mark II can command a premium price because it's been worth the wait. Or at least, that's the plan. So, what should you do if you've been waiting for this camera? Here's the reality. If you need a camera now, don't wait. The original R7 is still an incredible machine. Or consider moving to full frame if the price gap has closed enough for your budget. But if you can afford to wait, if you're willing to bet on Canon delivering something truly special in 2026, then maybe, just maybe, the delay will be worth it. Because when the R7 Mark II finally arrives, it might just be the APS-C camera that changes everything. Or it might be another sign that the APS-C market is slowly fading into the background while full frame takes over. Either way, the delay tells us one thing for certain. Canon is in control, and they're not in a hurry. If you want to know what other cameras are rumored for 2026 and which ones are actually worth waiting for, check out our video on the top 10 rumored cameras for 2026. You might be surprised by what's coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.